What's up, everybody? It's Digital World Podcast. It's the start of a new week, and we're getting lots of news. Now, today I want to focus on this digital dollar because as we draw nearer to July, we know that uh, MIT was going to unveil or pilot their digital dollar. But now we see here that the digital dollar project, which is with Christopher Giancarlo, is projected to launch 5 U.S. central bank digital currency pilots. Okay? And if you go here and look at this article, I'll go ahead and talk about these new pilots that will be taking place. Now, I'm telling you, it's coming and it's happening really fast. And here we see a guardian of the world's most widely used currency, the U.S. Federal Reserve is moving more cautiously. It is working with Massachusetts Institute of Technology, so MIT, to build a technology platform for a hypothetical digital dollar. But Jerome Powell said last week it is far more important to get a digital dollar right than it is to be fast. And here, I believe that the U.S. is not behind by any means. You don't get into this kind of situation where you're scrambling to, compete against China's digital yuan. No, this has been in the making for decades, and it's fast approaching. The end game is fast approaching, and I think it's worth monitoring and realizing that we might be a cashless society a lot faster than we may think. Christine Lagarde has says that things seem to take longer than they seem, but then they'll happen faster than one would think. And so once the ball gets rolling on this, there's no stopping it, and it's going to be really, really quickly. It's going to happen really quickly. Now, here's a breakdown of if you haven't seen this video by George Gammon, I highly recommend it, where he talks about the Fed coin, which is the digital dollar coming very, very soon.
Digital currency. But here's how logistically it would work. Right now, we've got the Fed, the banking system, the commercial banks, and the real economy. I use this red dollar sign, as most of you are familiar with from watching my videos, to indicate the Fed really only has control of creating or destroying bank reserves based on assets they're buying or selling to the commercial banks themselves. But in order to increase the amount of dollars to stoke inflation, as an example, they're really dependent upon the commercial banks themselves taking action. Of course, this excludes the government, your drunk, insolvent Uncle Sam, spending money into the real economy, and the Fed monetizing it. We'll save that for a separate video. But prior to the shenanigans of 2020, where M2 money supply has gone up by 25% because of government spending and debt monetization by the Fed, the commercial banking system really had control domestically and definitely internationally over the amount of dollars being created or destroyed that's getting into the real economy. But remember, that wasn't the original idea Hamilton had when he set up the first central bank. And obviously, the 900 PhDs at the Fed, including Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen at the Treasury, know this very well. So if they instituted a central bank digital...
And pay close attention here, because he's going to lay down the foundation of why central bank digital currencies are important and why it'll give the Fed the ultimate power, which was the idea first proposed when Alexander Hamilton first instituted the first central bank in the U.S. And they wanted to have ultimate control on of the real economy.
Currency. It would give them the ability to go around the commercial banking system, potentially even wipe them out altogether. Because everyone, the entities and the individuals in the real economy, would have an account with the Fed. Therefore, they could take these bank reserves and turn them into dollars, legal tender, as Dr. Lacey Hunt would put it. Basically, what would happen is the balance sheets for all of the banks would be consolidated into one balance sheet at the Federal Reserve. And what's interesting, or maybe terrifying is a better word, is they could control the dollar creation in the real economy. They could also micromanage inflation through positive and negative interest rates. But they could also have all these additional mandates where they could direct the flow of lending to special projects that had been adopted by the central planners themselves.
And that's what a central bank digital currency would allow them to do. They could literally micromanage different aspects of the economy. So, like he's talking about, if you want to direct money towards a certain project that goes along with the narrative, they can do that because they can allocate those funds.
Such as the Great Reset agenda. And they could do this without the federal government taking on any more debt. If you think about this, all of these transactions would be between the Fed and the real economy, just like the transactions are between the banking system and the real economy right now. So if there's a loan that's created by the bank that creates additional dollars in the real economy, that isn't affecting the balance sheet of the government. But now we're in a position where the government has to take on more and more debt.
And now he's going to explain, he explains more things that if you would like to watch this episode, I'd highly recommend it. But essentially, you're looking at either if once these central bank digital currencies are instituted, which they will be, it's not a matter if they're instituted. Once that happens, they could bypass these commercial banks because commercial banks are the ones that create, they have control of dollar creation by the loans they create to people or entities. And so, once central bank digital currencies are mainstream, then the Fed will receive the ultimate power, and they'll be able to, like I said, and like George Gammon said, micromanage every aspect of the economy. And they can monitor inflation or velocity of money through positive and negative interest rates. And so it definitely is a very surreal and scary thought for that to happen. Yes, there'll be the improvements in and innovation and technology that'll facilitate the way of life, but also it gives ultimate control. And so, you got to look at the pros with the cons. Now, here's Judy Shelton talking about essentially what XRP would bring to the table.
This is not.
And make no mistake, all this has to run on a ledger, a central or a ledger that's able to transact all the money, or else this would not be possible.
The way a level playing field, a stable monetary platform should operate. What we need is a sound foundation on which to build the things that really do increase standards of living, that do improve prospects for people to pursue what you want in life. And I just think we need a big rethink, and maybe the rise of cryptocurrencies will help to bring that about, especially if people have a choice in deciding on an equal playing field what currency really performs the tasks that they want out of using money.
Mm-hmm. Are you worried about...
This is not the way
Okay, so she's talking about a level playing field. And that's where we're at today on the matter. And it's coming. Utility is coming. It's coming. It's coming. And I do believe the narrative is getting stronger out there. I know right now that with the SEC case, I believe it seems like, based on what's going on in the case, that it may be over by fall. There may be a decision on the case. And if so, that would align with, the 4-year cycles that move. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not. But it's worth noting that it's aligning perfectly with the 4-year cycle, so it'll be something worth monitoring. But this is not financial advice, but I always bring the point, and everyone's situation is different. If you can take small profits, do it, because nothing's guaranteed in this space, okay? Now we know what we own. We know the utility it brings. And if you don't have to sell anything, then no. It applies differently for everyone. But it's something worth considering. Now, let's prepare ourselves. We know what we own. We know what it brings to the table, and the utility, the use case, where all the governments, all the nations, everyone will be using this digital asset XRP. I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. Comment below. How soon do you think until everything is implemented? I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.